Good morning, my loves. It has been a minute since I have been on here, and the exciting part about that is that it is because I put a lot of creative energy into building an online course, an online curriculum with these inner alignment tools and some things that I've learned as a healthcare provider and the nutrition certification, all of the self-help books I've read, just in terms of how to show up for ourselves, how to do the basics of self-care, how to fill our cups, especially when the world is increasingly becoming a place where everyone needs to be an activist for the sake of their own survival. And so, yeah, I've put a lot of energy into that, and I am just finishing it up, and it'll be available soon, where it's self-paced. So, if you don't have the time or the financial bandwidth to work with me one-on-one, you can do it online, and you can sign up for doing some sessions with me with it, or do it completely self-paced, because I would really just like to see these tools be more accessible. And my bandwidth is also a limited resource, right? Like, there are only so many clients I could work with a month and still show up really well for them, which is a priority for me. So this is my effort to get these tools out to the masses, because the world is a rough place, and this humaning is hard. And that is why I wanted to talk to you all today. I want to normalize that hard. I have a lot of tools. I have a lot of tools that I use. I have a lot of tools that I teach. I have a very full toolbox, right? I have the yoga, I have movement practices, I have meditation practices. The practices work. And sometimes, for me especially, like, my biggest vulnerability is sleep deprivation. So living in a house full of other people and having a highly sensitive nervous system, if I am not getting space to myself, and if my sleep is perpetually interrupted, where I am not getting sound sleep, I cannot connect with my practices in that place. The limit for me is 3 nights consecutively not getting sleep. And then after that, I start to fall apart. Right? Because my brain is not doing its repair work. So my memory starts to get fritzy. It's hard to focus. It's hard to concentrate. And then it's really hard to meditate. Like, I can meditate, but like, meditation requires a degree of focus. And so even sitting in stillness, it's just like what my friend likes to call the mind machine. The mind machine is just on full roar. And it's a lot of, like, my mind will go to, like, picking at self, like all of the not enoughness, the not good enough, right? Like, when I cannot connect to source, like, I just really can spiral into despair, and then the practices don't feel like they work, and it can get really dark. And, like, here's the thing: there are going to be no practices and no amount of healing work that I can do with you, or you could do with anyone, or on yourself, that is going to prevent you from ever feeling despair or sad or anger again. But what the tools and the practices can do is help get you back into alignment, help get you back into your heart, into your authentic self. And sometimes even with the practices, that's really challenging. And so, like, what do you do when the practices aren't working? And it's scale back, like, in terms of go more basic with self-care. Okay, like, take a nap, take a hot shower, go spend time in nature. For me, it's letting go of the expectations of any of it, right? Like, not get focused on the doing, just get back into the being. So whether that looks like playing with my kids really intentionally, clearing my schedule where I'm not taking stuff on, cooking a meal from scratch, that for me is really therapeutic. It's the smells, like I'll put music on, like kneading dough. This past weekend, we made pierogies from scratch, and just kneading the dough and having music playing and the smells in the kitchen. Like that can be very meditative for me, right? Like meditation doesn't need to be sitting on a mat or a cushion or in a quiet space. It can be something repetitive. It can be mowing your lawn. It could be taking a hike or a walk. It could be knitting or crocheting, right? Like whatever it is that gets you into being present with the task and out of your head. That is a great place to return to yourself. And it doesn't necessarily need to be fancy. Just because we have fancy tools doesn't mean that that's always going to be the best thing to use. And honestly, like for a period of time there, as much as I love Kundalini, and that is typically my go-to practice to stay in alignment along with these inner alignment tools, like I did not want to make eye contact with it. And I'm in a 300-hour training program. So I'll have 500 hours of Kundalini training at the end of this. And I'm like, I just don't even want to, right? Like I don't want to go to my classes. I don't want to do the practices. Like I am tired. I am too tired to do a practice that involves processing feelings. Like I need a break from all of the processing, because I'm in this apprenticeship for doing soul retrieval, which is a deep inner healing process. And that means that I've been receiving it, and we've been practicing on each other, and it just gets to the point where you feel what they call gutted, where it gets depleting, right? And it's worth it. But it's also honoring that space of being in the tired and being in the goo, right? Where stuff is falling away that's not serving you, and yet the new stuff that does suit you has not floated into your field yet. And it's that in between where, you've kind of fallen apart and you have not been assembled back together yet. And I would say I'm still in a pretty gooey place in terms of, right, I'm seeing the stuff that's falling away. And I know it's for the highest good, and yet I don't know where this is going yet. And that can be tricky. So yeah, what I want to say to all of you is, like, whatever space you're in, whether you have tools or not, the most basics of self-care, right? Like spend time with people who love you for who you are and not what you can do for them, right? Who can reflect back to you the magic that you are and how lovable you are even when you don't feel like it. Get the rest where you can, even if it's not sleeping, even if it's just 5 quiet minutes alone to take deep breaths, like coming back to the breathing. And yeah, interruptions, and accepting the imperfection, and yeah, and just doing whatever feels good for you. Whatever fills your cup, whether that makes sense or not, even if it's like silly dancing or singing, whatever is going to help lift those vibrations and pop you back to yourself. So I love you most. I'm wishing you lots of luck. I'm on this path with you. I'm here for you. Reach out with questions, and I will speak to you soon.